Hello and welcome to Screams from the Center, where I hope to provide information on topics I find interesting and give my take on them. In this episode, we talk about Labor Day. That's correct, we talk about the holiday Labor Day. So welcome to my Labor Day episode. First, we'll start off what Labor Day means. Labor Day, the first Monday in September, is a creation of the labor movement and is dedicated to the social and economic achievements of the American worker. It constitutes a yearly national tribute to the contributions workers have made to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of the country. The first ordinances were passed citywide in as early as 1885 and 1886 to go into a little bit of history of the movement. The first state to try and pass it was New York. However, Oregon actually managed to pass it first on February of 1877. During the year, 4 more states like Colorado, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and finally New York also created Labor Day statewide by legislative enactment. By the end of the decade, Connecticut, Nebraska, and Pennsylvania had followed suit. And then by 1894, 23 other states had adopted the holiday in honor of workers. And on June 28th of 1894, it became a national holiday and had its time spot as the first Monday of September. So that's how it was brought about. There's a little contention over the founders of the Labor Day movement. The 2 people involved in this were Peter J. McGuire, who was General Secretary of the Brotherhood of Carpenters, and then there was Matthew McGuire, who was a machinist. Now, there's a debate on which one actually started the holiday, but I thought I'd throw their names out, and to point out that we have been celebrating Labor Day for well over 100 years. So, that being said, why am I doing this episode on Labor Day, a holiday that most people don't think too much about? Well, I wanted to do this as a reminder to everybody as to the importance of Labor Day and the importance of the labor movement in and of itself. And what prompted me to think of this was the fact that I was reading the GOP Facebook page, and they had a loving tribute to Labor Day. And I thought it was a very interesting thing that they were talking about Labor Day, because this is not a party that I feel really cares about the holiday. So what they did was they posted, "Generations of hardworking Americans helped to build our nation's economy. On Labor Day, we celebrate the unflagging work ethic that made America into an economic leader." So, that was the Republican posting of it. Some of the comments were rather interesting as well, and I'll go through a few of those. I find it a fascinating subject. So, basically, this was an excuse for the people who post on Facebook to attack Obama. So one of them was, "Generations built America. One administration almost successfully tore her down, and the GOP helped. We need new leadership in D.C. that won't bow to the throne of POTUS." So the people who post on the Republican page on Facebook have this notion that John Boehner and Mitch McConnell in the House and Senate, respectively, are allied with Obama, that they're working to enact his agenda, which most normal people would find laughable because they oppose Obama in every aspect, even with the Affordable Health Care Act, which was the idea of the Heritage Foundation and the Nixon administration. Both are hardly liberal organizations or liberal individuals. So we've shut down the government. We've forced each other into things, this austerity movement in the GOP. And because they're not, in a nutshell, the reason why people who post on Facebook and the Republican page are livid about the GOP working with Obama is because they haven't impeached him, stripped him naked, and whipped him down the streets of Washington, D.C. until they send him to, I don't know, whatever country they think he comes from the time of the week. The fact of the matter is, these people in Congress are actually smarter than the people who post on the Republican page. They know that an impeachment's going to be a severe embarrassment to their party, just as it was with Clinton. And at least with Clinton, they found a little something that they could attack him on and try to impeach him on. With Obama, there really isn't anything that they can get him on. And they know this. That's why they've come up with these clever lawsuits. But I digress. We're talking about Labor Day. So, like I said, the posting by the GOP establishment itself saying Happy Labor Day had me thinking, the GOP is not the party for Labor Day. This is clearly a ridiculous posting. And of course, there were postings, Labor Day is a socialist holiday. So, we've got people who acknowledge the GOP has a ridiculous hand in this. And the truth of the matter is there were a lot of socialists who were behind the movement of Labor Day. But let's actually remember why we have a labor movement and the things that unions and the labor movement brought about that were not around at the beginnings of the Labor Day movement. So I've picked a list out of things that were granted by unions and the labor movement. Things that we take advantage of that we don't think of anymore. And then a personal analysis at the end. So, this is a long list. I don't really want to bore people, but I think it's important that we get this out. This is what unions and the labor movement gave us. Weekends without work, breaks at work including your lunch, paid vacation, medical leave and family leave, FMLA, sick leave, Social Security, minimum wage, the Civil Rights Act that prohibits employer discrimination, the 8-hour workday, overtime pay, child labor laws, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, the 40-hour work week, workman's comp, unemployment insurance, pensions, no, those are largely gone, workplace safety standards and regulation, employer-based health insurance, collective bargaining for employees, wrongful termination laws, the Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967, whistleblower protections, Employee Polygraph Protection Act, which prohibits employers from using a lie detector on an employee, Veterans Employment and Training Services, compensation increases and evaluations, sexual harassment laws, the Americans with Disabilities Act, holiday pay, employer dental, life, and vision insurance, privacy rights, pregnancy and parental leave, the right to strike, public education for children, the Equal Pay Acts of 1963 and 2011, which require employers to pay men and women equally for the same amount of work. And finally, the laws ending sweatshops in the United States. All of these laws were brought about by labor movements, those evil socialists trying to take over the America, and unions, who are the evil bastions against the right-wing Republican Party and people who want freedom. All of these laws, many of which a lot of conservatives value greatly, all of these laws and rules, including Labor Day itself, was opposed in the day and many today by the right wing, by the GOP principally, and the Tea Party movement, and all these other right-wing organizations. So, I hope everybody enjoyed their day off, if they got that day off. And I hope that everybody realizes the importance of Labor Day and what it actually means to people. This was a war. It was people who fought to get rights for workers. People died in order for you to have Labor Day and that small list that I read to you. So happy Labor Day. And thank you for joining me in this episode of Screams from the Center. Please leave comments below on how I can improve. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. My blog is at screamsfromthecenter.wordpress.com. You can find me on Twitter at ScreamsFTCenter. On Facebook and Google+, Screams from the Center. Thank you and happy Labor Day.